NS Hosa, Axiom Acer, MVP, FXOpen, LGIM, AZUBU, Prime, Startail.
Villain Octopus is dead. He's killed by Supernova. AZUBU takes a 1-0 lead here. And FXOpen has chosen Lucky. And you know what? This is, like you said before, a very ballsy choice. One that I'm not so sure I agree with in this particular case.
From our crow's nest up here, this is a horrible choice. And there must be something that we do not know. Choya has a lot of faith here in Lucky. But if you look at his statistics against Terran in Heart of the Swarm, he has a 25% win ratio. The only Terran against who he won was Sting. That was a DreamHack Summer. He lost against Yoda, Thorzane, and Marine King in the past, and these are only the offline results. Online, he lost against Supernova in particular as well, even though it's a few weeks back. But given what we just saw Supernova do to Lenok, that was one of those things where you're close to calling the cops because you want to report a crime.
Yeah.
And now Lucky, seeing Lucky up against him, against Supernova, I don't know. I do not really agree with this choice. And maybe Lucky has outstanding results in the last few days in this particular matchup against Supernova style. Maybe he has... I don't know. I actually do not know.
We have to just wait and see at this point, you know. I expected him to pick a map like Icarus and have a timing plan, but he's chosen Whirlwind. So, I mean, he's basically saying, Lenok couldn't do it, but I can. And that's something that it's very hard to say as a Zerg player because Lenok is, I mean, he's considered one of the top Zergs by far. Most people put him in top 3. I mean, when you think about that, it's just like, all right, Lucky, what do you have planned here? Are you going to do a big speed roach timing or something on Whirlwind? We've seen that before. I don't know. This is very bold.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's not like they don't have good players in general. I mean, you look at the lineup and you see players like Gumiho struggling a little bit more in Heart of the Swarm, granted, but still. You have Hurricane in there. You have, I mean, SC. There's like JKS. There's a couple of really good players that you could send out here. Seed can't play. He's not here, but still. I'm not sure of. Lucky, he will have to show us that he's able to do what Lenok couldn't, but this is not going to be easy. And keep in mind, if FXOpen gets all kill today, they are out.
Yeah, absolutely true. So they have to get at least 1 point here. Can Lucky be the guy? He is who they've chosen on Whirlwind. It's the GSTL AZUBU versus FXOpen, brought to you by Counter and Wolf.
Starting to the top right, we have the Terran player. 1 win against Zerg already in this team match. Successful against Lenok. Yes.
AZUBU Supernova.
Supernova.
Great game against Lenok.
Yeah, excellently played.
Yeah. Cross position now to the bottom left starts his new opponent. Starting for Team FXOpen as the second Zerg. It is
FXO Lucky.
And he better hope he's lucky today if he's going to be able to stop Supernova after what we saw in Game 1.
Well, I'm really curious what Lucky's going to do here. I really am. I mean, Supernova, he played a very good game against Lenok. Maybe even flawless. But right now, Lucky must have a plan. And you know, if he wants to go for some kind of roach timing or any kind of early aggression, the map will not really suit that style because he doesn't spawn in close. He's actually cross-positioned his opponent, which means that he will need a long time to cross the map and execute that push. So I'm curious. I mean, there has to be a reason why they send him out, but from our perspective right now, it looks like a bad choice from FXOpen.
Let's talk about this a little bit more because I think, you know, we have CC first versus Hatch first, so we have a little more time, but you know, we've seen something like this happen before where SC is the starting player for FXOpen, and it's like, well, yeah, he's a solid player, he just recently switched back. Then he plays insanely well, gets the all-kill, and sometimes a player will, behind the scenes in a practice house, be playing on fire, practicing more than everybody else, really hitting their stride. And, you know, then they get an all-kill, or they have results that you don't expect. And, you know, you look at their stats before, and you wouldn't think a player like that would do so well. maybe this is what's going on with Lucky. Maybe he's been practicing really hard in the team house. Maybe he's the one who's beating Terran players all the time and everyone's looking up to him. So
yeah, because right now, just looking at the choice, Lucky was not really successful in this GSTL season. He has not a good ratio against Terran in Heart of the Swarm. He's struggling against the race. And Lenok just seems to be the stronger Zerg in general. So sending out a second Zerg against an opponent who already proved that he is really strong in this matchup. I talked about Supernova having a great ratio against Zerg, taking down opponents like Scarlet DRG and also burning. Now, of course, Lenok also added to the list of victims. And that doesn't leave me with the feeling, okay, Lucky is the guy to turn things around. But maybe, as you said, maybe there is something that we don't know that he can show us now.
Yeah.
At this point, Supernova is just going into his expansion once again. We have the double orbital for him, whereas Lucky at the bottom left has not taken gas. So already a bit of a difference in build orders, playing this a little bit more greedy than Supernova did, a little bit more mineral focused.
Right. You know, this is... FXOpen fans better hope that Lucky has something up his sleeve here. The SCP Scout comes in, is already warded away, and he does escape with that, but doesn't get any information about whether there's gas or not. So as a result, he will have to play relatively safe here because he doesn't know. Especially when you have a player like Lucky being your opponent, you're probably a little bit surprised by that. Supernova probably thought in his head, okay, if I beat Lenok, I'm probably going to either face Gumiho or Hurricane. That's probably what he had in mind. I don't think he was prepared for Lucky, so now he has to play just safely and calmly. Instead, he's going to just add a triple CC here.
Yeah. The triple CC now at the wall, a good choice, and that will help you to fend off bailing busts, just to give one example. So at the front, that is actually something in a good position. You are not afraid to show what's happening, but at the same time, it gives you a bit more safety. And let's see how Supernova is going to play this. On a big map, he is relying on Hellions first to get a bit map control.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested to see what exactly Lucky's choice is. He gets the third to the top left instead of getting that pocket third towards the center.
Yeah, I like that choice. He's also taking both of his gases here. And Supernova is changing it up a little bit with his armory timing here, getting it after the command center. As you said, you know, doing it a little bit safer, making the command center as part of his wall. It's also easily scouted, though, by Lenok with his Overlord. I mean, not Lenok, Lucky, excuse me.
Lucky with Roach Warren and speed for the Zerglings now. So third base is part of the composition here. Getting the extra Overlords out there. He could go for a massive amount of units, but so far he's still droning. He's currently looking at 40 Harvesters.
Yeah, and right now, Supernova hasn't seen the third base. He will check the other location, though, and now he will see it. But a Roach push at cross positions with Zerglings, and even Banelings perhaps, would be something that may trick Supernova. He probably doesn't really expect that at cross positions.
He doesn't get any additional... Okay, here come additional drones that now. Look for a second like he was just saving up supply. Goes into a few roaches, not too many just yet. So he can just knock at his opponent's doorstep, but we have Widow Mines already set up. And this is the good thing about Supernova. Like, Supernova doesn't play this super greedy where he just rallies out Halberds. He gets at least a few Widow Mines to have something there.
Yeah. Absolutely true. He did this last game as well. Starting stem, and the Overlord sees... Well, let's see exactly what he's seeing. I don't think he saw the armory.
That actually supply blocks Lucky.
Yeah, and he did not really get any additional information with that.
Yeah. The units that Lucky currently has are definitely not enough to like do damage. He goes for the +1 attack upgrade, and you know this is kind of interesting. He goes for the range upgrade. So this is a style that we saw Symbol play a lot more recently. Yeah. And that usually comes with a lot of defensive structures where you need just some spines and spores and more than only one at your bases to just make sure that you are good against drop play.
Really nice reaction here against the Hellbat drop. He already pulls his Zerglings, and the Queens are ready there, so all that Supernova was able to do was get that tumor in. Notice that he goes into double engineering base, so even though he did add the barracks, this timing, the follow-up that we see, the Hellbat drops, is going to be very different than the one we saw against Lenok. It's not going to be as committed. It's just a little bit smaller of a push.
Yeah, but Stim is going to hit with that upgrade. Not right away with the time, but it's going to hit a little bit later, so he can wait for it and then execute it with it. He's also kind of safe. You know, this composition is just great. What can Lucky do? Roaches, Banelings. What is good against that? Marauders and a couple of Hellbats that want to tank the damage and
Widow
do
Mines.
the area. Yeah, Widow Mines as well. So this is like a very strong composition, and it's kind of a bit of a catch-all build that he can send out there.
That's very well said, but you just put it there. I don't know, I just tripped over all my words, but essentially this push has no direct counter. So he just has to get units, and a lot of them, to be able to defend it.
Dim is not done yet, but this is strong. The Widowmine already burrowing here, and he gets the shot off. Actually targets with it.
Yeah, nicely
well done.
And, you know, Lucky has a lot of roaches coming out here, and his upgrades are coming through for him pretty soon as well. I think that this is the end of this push, at least for now.
There were not enough Marauders with it just yet. Third base is already down. We have a bunker there, but the Zergling is running circles around the orbital trying to catch those SCVs. Good decision here by Supernova to load them into the bunker. Now we have a Mule called down that is immediately being attacked, but the rest of the units is already streaming in, and that will put an end to that.
Yep. Well, right now, Lucky taking a significant lead in supply. He's also not neglected his upgrades, so the roach composition that he's making is better than Leanox because he did go for the missile upgrade and he wasn't really hindered in his economy.
But he needs higher tech than that. He goes into the speed upgrade for the Overlords without adding the drop upgrade.
Yeah, at least for now.
A little bit weird to see it this late because he already has Leia and he's already going into Overseers. Usually you see it a little bit faster, so you can rely on the scouts, but maybe he's trying to use it later on to fake his opponent out.
It can also be useful because it does help your Overseers go faster, so you can find Widowmines a little bit easier.
Yeah, he doesn't go into Mutalisk yet though, so with Mutalisk that's usually when you really rely on that upgrade. For now, he's going into Roaches and Zerglings. Now, I'm a little bit surprised to not see a higher tech. He definitely has a lot of resources that he could use.
Yeah, a little bit strange. He's making 2 Overlords right now, and is he just going to max out Roaches and go for a push? Do you think so? I don't know. I don't think so. And there's the Spire.
Yeah, there's a Spire, but he already... I mean, he drained his gas by getting this many Roaches, so he has to do a lot of damage with this, but Supernova looks very safe to me with what he has here. The third base is what he might have to evacuate, but he's not going to be too worried about that. He will lose a couple of structures here on the ground, but the CC itself is going to be fine.
Yeah, he needs to make sure he lifts it. That's all he really has to do. And I just don't see him losing it. Lifts it immediately, taking no damage here. We'll lose the structures you talked about, but he's already over in supply, so he's not going to get supply block. This costs him a lot of mining time, though, and this gives the map control wholly to Lucky, who takes another base.
That's definitely true. The problem for him really... Oh, nice shots here with the Widow Mines, and a good defense so far. The problem for Lucky really is this heavy commitment to this unit composition that he has, because this unit composition is losing a lot of value in fights as the game continues, especially as those upgrades come in for Supernova. But for now, it gives him map control, and he needs to utilize that map control now to establish a significant lead and get his tech up so that later on he won't struggle against Supernova.
Yep.
It's a trade-off that you go for.
It's definitely a trade-off, but on the cross positions, I kind of like this. There's a drop to the top left that is spotted, like he already puts his units in position to defend. A little bit weird that Supernova floated his command center far away from that expansion because there was no mutas or anything that was going to chase that. That was kind of strange, but he will land it fairly soon. But he's losing more and more mining time during all of this.
Mutalisks are now coming in, and so far Supernova hasn't really identified that. But he has a lot of Widow Mines that he can use for the Mutalisk defense. He needs to establish himself that third base though, and that's of course something that he's very well aware of. At the fourth, we have an Overlord spreading creep that Supernova has to take care of at some point. The +2/+2 upgrades are on the way, as well as Drilling Claws. But Lucky is playing a decent game here.
Yeah, he certainly is. And the Roaches continue to grant him for just a few more seconds map control. But now Supernova says, alright, your composition's a little bit outdated. I have so many Marines now, I've got the medevacs, I have the Marauder count to fight this straight up, and he's going to start clearing up creep here.
Here comes Infestation Pit, I like it. Lucky already preparing for later on. Supernova is closing the gap in overall supply, not getting a fourth base just yet. And we have Supernova with good units on the map. There are 21 Banelings on the other hand. Here comes the Stim trying to take them out early. Good job so far, but there comes the flank.
Yeah, flank here really nice because he has nowhere to run. He may have to lift up. That's when the Mutas come into play. The Widowmine's doing a decent job, and excellent Baneling hits for splits by Supernova.
Yeah, it's Supernova trying, but those Banelings were pretty darn good. Now the +2 armor upgrade comes in a little bit too late. Mutalisk is still chasing. He needs to drop and try to defend them. Attack upgrade has been started, and so far Lucky does not have the Hive Tech. So at some point Supernova will get a bit ahead in the upgrades, but this is a good position now for the Zerg.
Yeah, he's got such a strong strong ground army to support those Mutalisks, and the flank that we saw in that last fight was excellent. That really granted him the ability to shut down the aggression for Supernova, and Supernova again loses time here. He doesn't have a 4th base. Lucky does. Lucky has the time that he needs to get the tech out.
Lucky playing a great game here and definitely justifying the trust that Shoya put in his abilities to take Supernova
Absolutely.
down. That he plays a lot better than expected after watching Supernova taking Leenock apart. It's not over yet, though. We have the bank for Lucky, but AZUBU Supernova is going into 3-3, and these upgrades, that will be when Supernova just shows his entire strength.
Exactly. You know, he kept a lot of those medevacs alive. He needs to pay attention here, though. He's focused on that Overlord. He needs to pay attention to these Mutas. Gets the Widow Mines down. He does have the Burrow upgrade researched.
Yeah, he's trying to trade as well as he can, but now the medevacs are going down. The Mutalisks are moving in, and the medevacs, that's the one unit that he cannot afford to lose in high quantities.
All right, good shots here, though, with his Marauders, and he's being flanked, but can he split his units? The Widow Mine goes down. Nice targeting by Lucky.
But the Banelings, they don't do too much, and actually I think that Supernova is doing a great job here. He is still struggling against this army, but in total he's doing a fine job taking out most of those Banelings without suffering too many losses, and now the rest of the units is coming through. Lucky gets a few hits off here, but Supernova is actually closing the supply gap quite significantly.
Yeah.
It was a decent trade.
You know, if you look at it just from the perspective of Supernova lost a lot during that fight, it looks like that was the better trade for Lucky by far. But he spent a lot of Banelings on nothing, like you said. What I really have as a problem for Supernova is that he doesn't have a 4th base secured at all yet. And all of what Lucky is doing is buying him time to get his Infestors out, to get caught up on upgrades, to get the Hive out. So if he can continue this aggression and keep Supernova back, this will work out in the end. Right now he has a huge Mutalisk count. He's up to 22.
You know, the bigger problem really is the low count in medevacs. That will give Supernova a lot of trouble. Because with 3-3 upgrades, if you have the medevac support, they are just so strong. And this is the time when Supernova, as soon as 3-3 hits, this is the time where he has to do something. Because that is when he is the strongest.
Yeah.
And given time, Lucky will just compensate for that by getting his own upgrades out there. So as soon as 3-3 hits, Supernova has to do something.
Exactly. Right now his army supply is dead even with Leon. They're both, with Lucky. They're both at 105. Good Widow Mine positions here. Excellent hit on those Zerglings, and this could be Supernova's moment. He is nearly at +3 armor.
Yeah, he has +3 attack already. This is really where he has to shine. He takes a lead in supply. And now it's very important. We have a drop to the top left, taking down an additional base. This is where Lucky has to be very, very careful. This is when Supernova will start to push to the bottom left and try to take the game.
He's taking way too many units for free here. Lucky needs to pay attention to his movements right now. He cannot afford to throw away Zerglings when he's spending 54 larva, or 54 lings coming out. That's so much larva spent.
So many Mutalisks now. He can take down those Whistle Turrets in the main base. There are not enough Widow Mines, but a good potential flank on those Banelings. He takes down all of them.
Oh, wow. Losing only about... Well, I guess he got about 5 Marines there, but still a much better trade for Supernova overall.
Main base, on the other hand, it's taken apart by the Mutalisks. He needs to rally Widow Mines out there and defend against them. Marines will do the trick too. Another job at the left side of the map. The main army is still positioned in the center.
Yeah. Takes out a few Queens here. The Queens buy time for Lucky to defend. Well, he doesn't actually send anything. He's starting to get spread a little bit thin here.
As mentioned, it's Supernova's time to shine, and that's what he does. The Supernova is close to exploding. He's on 3-3 against 2-2. He closed the gap in supply. He is ahead in supply, and Lucky's bank is depleted.
Yeah, Lucky's bank is depleted. He's getting ready to take a 4th base as well. Needs to deal with this Ling run by, on the other hand.
Yeah, he needs to deal with the Ling run by immediately, and he sends the Marines in. But the main army needs to do some damage. Supernova is in a good spot, but he needs to make sure that he does a little bit more damage before Lucky completes his own set of upgrades.
Yeah.
He is still 1 base ahead of his opponent.
He also has the upgrade for his Infestors. He hasn't made any Infestors just yet, but he does have Pathogen Glands, so he can use the Infestors very soon.
Uh-oh, a trap on the Mutalisks. Have to move in there. There's no Widow Mine. Lucky for him.
Yeah. No pun intended, right?
No.
Uh-oh, the trap! The trap! Oh, no! Oh, well, he still dealt with that relatively well, but he's losing a lot of his mutas.
That was one of those Admiral Akbar moments where you think, like, oh my god, it could be over in a second.
Yeah. Well, you know, even though he cleared up the Overlord, there's still a pesky Zergling over there, and Supernova he's starting to need that fourth more and more as his main base is now mined out. He might as well just move his command center.
He has the CC, but yeah, he needs to take down that Zergling. The thing is really, Supernova has such a strong army now that he could do so much more in the middle of the map, but the Mutalisks just force him back every single time. He needs to leave forces behind, and with only half his forces at the bottom left, he doesn't want to engage.
Oh, that was a perfect split there. Put the Marauders in front, pull only the Marines back.
Lucky cannot afford to lose this many Banelings. He just cannot afford it. He needs them.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see, 3 or 4 Widow Mines at all of Supernova's bases. If he can just do that, he'll buy some time for the Mutas.
3 is done, and we talked about the low count in Medivacs earlier, but now he's back to 10, and that's what he needs. To the top right, we have Lucky attacking, and with all those Lings moving in, even a Baneling Trap, a great Baneling Trap!
Excellently done. That may be what he needs here, but he's lost another hatchery to the top left.
Yeah, he lost the hatch, but he killed so many units just now. Another hatch going down. This is such a great game by Supernova. He doesn't have the bank, but he just has such a good control. He needs to use it, though.
He needs to use it. He lost a lot of SCVs there, and like you said, the bank is just not there for him anymore. Lucky, on the other hand, is really building a bank in gas, and also his minerals are up there a little bit. He just needs to make sure he can secure these bases against all the aggression.
I want to highlight again how really important these Baneling, these burrowed Banelings were. They might have won Lucky the game. He was far behind at this point, but that significantly reduced the amount of fire units that we had for Supernova.
Supernova still has a lead in army, though. He's up about 20 supply, and right now, Infestors are on the way, 8 of them, and if he can buy time for those, I think he should be able to defend the attack, but his Banelings are not ready here.
The Banelings are not ready, and they won't be for some time, but a few of them, they are running in, not taking too much, though. This is close. The Infestors would be so helpful for him now.
Yeah, they certainly would be. This is a mostly Marauder force. He can't fight here. He's pushed back.
The Widow Mine taking good hits here, but too many Marines for the Mutalisks to deal with. The Marauders will soon have to deal with Fungals.
I feel like Lucky's almost certainly won this game. The command center at the 4th is still not landed. He finally kills that Zergling as we speak, but right now Supernova is bleeding. He's bleeding money. He needs that base.
Supernova was so far ahead, and then those Baneling traps went off and took down his bio. A 40 supply lead suddenly again for Lucky, who takes this 4th base. But the Infestors, they are burrowed. They're trying to go to the top left. Scans going down over and over again. A little bit too late. That scan earlier would have revealed all of the Infestors.
Yeah. The Mutas alone are going to kill his command center. He does not save it. There's no way.
He's just too slow.
And the Infestors, since he doesn't need them to kill the command center anymore, he's going to send them. He's already queued up the Infested Terrans as shown here.
Infestor Gadget on the way to the right side of the map, and here we go. A lot of volleyballs being dropped instantly, and those Infested Terrans are going to do a lot of damage while Supernova is still spread out. Lucky in this game, really showing his skills.
Yeah, and the command center is being repaired here, but here come the Mutas. And I gotta say, Supernova is looking pretty dead right now. I mean, he needs to do something because Lucky has resecured all of his bases. He has the Infestors still on the map. He can just build up the energy and use them to fight. He has 6 more on the way, 10 Mutalisks.
Such a smart choice, going into Mutalisk heavy composition now while building the Infestors. The Infestors being the unit that can defend, can delay his opponent, while the Mutalisks do the damage. I think Lucky has done it. With the Baneling mines earlier, he won this game. He made all the right decisions afterwards, and Supernova, he had a moment there where he could have taken it, where he was strong with the 3-3 upgrades, the upgrade lead over Lucky, but the time has already passed.
Choya put his faith well done here on Lucky, and Supernova just can't even hold the 3rd base right now. His natural has been moved. That's what he's using as his 3rd base. He's about to lose. Oh wow, more Baneling hits here. I just don't see him able to win this game because there's Infestors waiting for him at every turn. It's only going to take a few Fungals here. He doesn't have Medivacs anymore. More Baneling traps laid down.
Lucky playing a great game here. He definitely rewards Choya's fate. And Supernova is down to 80 supply against 180. This would need a miracle for the Channeling player to come back, especially since he doesn't have a mining base anymore.
He has 0 minerals per minute income right now. He's going to trade well against these Zerglings, but once the Infestors catch up, and here they are.
The Fungals are good, and immediately Infested Terrans being spread out everywhere. Another Fungal would end the life of so many Marines, and there it is. The Mutalisks are not even part of this attack. They're still on their way back, and as soon as they arrive, they will clean house.
Yeah. GG. Lucky. He did what he needed to do. That was an excellent game. Starting things off with a Roach composition, takes map control, techs up. Really good Baneling landmines. Supernova did have control. He retook control of this game, and that was a really scary moment for Lucky. He took some risks with the Baneling landmines. Absolutely paid off.
I mentioned it several times, but that was the point in the game where Lucky, in my opinion, just turned the tide. When those Baneling landmines hit at the choke point, that's where he won the game. Supernova, in this situation, had a supply lead, he had an upgrade lead, and he gave Lucky so much trouble. And the only thing that came for Lucky with the meterless is drawing him back, and then he lured his opponent into this trap, and he sprung it. That was so well done. And Lucky really, with a great performance here, surprising a little bit against such a strong Terran versus Zerg player, but he rewards Choya's fate, and he puts FXOpen back on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and this means no all-kill.
Yeah, no all-kill.
There's Ganji, a player that may come out here. Would not be surprised to see him come out as the second player.
He is actually, together with the Symbol, the best player this GSTL season for Team AZUBU.
Yeah, it's true. He's come out several times. He's been the starting player before as well. He is all killed. And I could see him coming out here as a second player. I could also see, though, they go into Boong Boong here for the ZVZ. That would not surprise me either, because Boong Boong is also a pretty good all-around player.
They have a few good players that could go into a ZVZ. Symbol, of course, also being one of them. We would expect to see Symbol later on. But Lucky really coming through. I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him, because the problem that Lucky always has is that he kind of falls short every single time he's in a very important match. That was his fate in several Core A qualifiers now in a row, where he really underperformed and below his own expectations. And it was always just sad to see him so crushed after losing these games.
Yeah.
And now coming through for his team, that's important for him. That's really important for his confidence.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you know, this game alone really helps him as a player overall, outside of the GSTL included. And if he can get several more wins, I'm sure his confidence level will go through the roof. So this is a really important moment for him in his career.
Yep.
And he also puts FXOpen on the scoreboard.
Exactly. AZUBU still has a lead in the match, not in score, but they can choose the player and the map, so they can counter out Lucky. That's what they are going to try to do. And who's going to be their next player?
Genius!
Ooh, Genius, nice. Sending a Protoss out here.
Yeah, nice. I am excited. Genius is one of those players who you never know what you're going to get. He might just play a straight-up macro game against you. He might do an all-in. He may even cheese you. He's the most unpredictable Protoss, I feel. I mean, he doesn't have a style.
That's going to be a pretty cool match. I love seeing a Genius again in the booth and just playing here. And against Lucky, this is of course now also a good choice, just mixing it up a little bit, sending out a Protoss player. And they could prepare for what's going on here. So they already discussed, okay, who's going to be the player in case that Supernova is not able to take him out. And if you look at Lucky's statistics, also against Protoss, not too successful. Lost against Zest in the Korean qualifier. Lost to Super. Only player that he won against was Rune in the GSTL.
Yeah.
Genius, on the other hand, a little bit more successful in this matchup, but we are still at the beginning of Heart of the Swarm.
This is the infancy. I mean, we're at the very beginning still.
So all the statistics that we look at are, of course, just an indicator.
Yeah. You know, Genius known for in Wings of Liberty, his Stargate play in Protoss vs. Zerg. That is one thing he kind of stylized and made popular. His Phoenix play against Zergs. And you know, he's a BlizzCon champion. He's a runner-up of the GSL finals as well. So this is somebody you don't want to mess around with. He picks Akalon Waste as his map. It's a pretty good map for Protoss. Relatively easy to secure that third.
Yep. Can do a lot of things here. For Genius, we also don't have a lot of data. Offline, he didn't play against a single Zerg player yet in Heart of the Swarm. He played online at the IPL Heart of the Swarm Invitational qualifier against Zenyo. That was a long time ago, back in February. He won the match with a 2-1. Was not able to get out of the Code A qualifier. He lost in the finals in a Protoss versus Protoss against the Afrotoss.
Yep, the Afrotoss took him out there.
Yep. So not a lot of things that we have to go on here. Not a lot of statistics on him in this matchup. Let's see what he can do against Lucky. Must be confident going out in such an important match.
Now, Lucky definitely got the momentum on his side as far as wins go, but this is not his map pick.
Yeah, Akalon Waste. I love the map. It's a really good map, and especially for Protoss vs. Zerg. Jumping into game number 3 at the GSTL Season 1 2013. Lucky up against Genius, brought to you by Colored Wolf.